A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. While listening to Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast we follow two first-time readers, Sheta and Justin, and we chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Mistborn, the Hero of Ages, chapters 40 through 44. So now it's time to throw it over the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe. Thank you, Joe. Hey, welcome everyone to this show. Woo! As you know, I'm Joe, and I'm with Justin and Sheta again. Yay!
No,
Whoa,
Joe.
whoa,
No. Don't do that.
I'm into it. This is the new format.
No. That was psychotic sounding. Like, are you okay? Don't do that.
Man, someone tries to sound exciting and get people going, and it just sounds psychotic.
Yeah, it's just not in your character, so yeah.
All right. I'll go back to being deadpan.
There we go.
Kids these days, Sheta, you can't take any kind of real emotion, huh? Like that
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, super real.
Yeah, I guess maybe I just need to connect with kids, just make like a TikTok video about like milk or something.
Yeah,
That
Joe, when
sounds-
are we going to get on TikTok, huh? Get the kids who
Yeah.
like to read Mistborn involved.
Yeah, no, we do need to get more kids into the Cosmere.
Do you
You don't
realize
even
how
know
much?
what you just said, Sheta. We don't know what that even means. Quit
Yeah,
putting
whatever
on
that
airs for
means.
all the hip young people.
I mean,
Man.
my life is improved, so, you know.
Making a TikTok video, do you know how much more work that'd be? Because then I'm going to have to take clips from our shows, cut them, edit them into some sort of video thing. Usually those videos have like text of what people are saying, so now I need to line text with the words and post it on there, and yeah, that just sounds annoying.
I have a couple ideas. Be like, Ellen be like, and then I'll put a meme in there, and then
Oh,
it'd
God.
be like,
Nope, this bit
Zane
is
be
over.
like, and
Oh,
then
God.
I put another
This
meme in there.
bit is over. I decree it. I don't want to hear any more of that.
Then
That's
he'd be
the
like, then
exact.
Marsh be like, yeah, see, it's
Well,
funny.
and that's kind of the exact reason why I don't want to do a TikTok. I don't want to just go down to memes and explain everything via memes.
That's the language of the kids, Joe. You want to
Yeah, and their language
kids
sucks.
involved? You know who would say that? Is an old person.
I'm fine with that. Kids aren't listening to us anyways. All right, on to random shit. Let's all ask you some random questions and stuff. Let's start with what are your top 3 favorite James Bond movies?
Did we not do this question already?
No, we have not.
Because I
Just one
swear,
that sounds very. It sounds very
was like-
obvious, like we would have asked, but I have not.
I was like, oh, gold figure. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just go with that.
That's a
Yeah,
big
nice.
fucking question, Joe.
I said 3. Hey, you only have
3?
25 or 27, depending on if you count the unofficial ones. So
Live and Let Die, and then the world is not enough.
Lying, Sheta. None of that is true.
Huh?
You haven't even watched World Is Not Enough yet.
That is actually my first James Bond movie I ever watched.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sheta, you're lying, though. I know that it's not true. I know none of that is true.
It's more like I don't want to think about it too hard because it would take too long, and those are the ones I remember off the top of my head.
I think she has seen World Not Enough, because in like her watch through of James Bond, the next one she had to watch is Die Another Day.
Oh, is that it? I mixed those two up.
Yeah, we did watch that one.
Oh, okay.
Well, while Justin thinks, I will throw out mine. I will go with Goldfinger, GoldenEye, and The Spy Who Loved Me.
The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Wrong one, Sheta. I will say Dr. No, Live and Let Die, which Sheta you stole from me. And Skyfall, though Goldfinger's close in there. Or not Goldfinger, which is also great. GoldenEye, I meant to say.
All
I
right.
always
You
think
sure
of
you
that
don't?
MC Chris song when I think of GoldenEye. No, not MC Chris. I'm so sorry. MSI song. The GoldenEye.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Now let's go the opposite. What do you feel is the worst James Bond movie?
Easy. Spectre?
Mm,
Spectre?
yeah, I didn't like Spectre very much either.
Yeah.
You're really gonna go with that over my pick of Moonraker?
At least they go
I
into
enjoyed
space in
Moonraker.
Moonraker. You
Those
did
are the
not like
kind of,
Moonraker.
but I
Moonraker's
like,
so boring.
I
No, you did
prefer
not.
gimmicky things like that though
Yeah, I dig
to
that.
something. Yeah.
Something
I
overly
like.
serious.
Mm-hmm.
Or like
Yeah.
Die Another Day? That's another horrible movie. It
I'm
killed the
going
franchise for
Moonraker.
like
I've
5
always
years.
hated Moonraker. I hate Moonraker so much.
Got Moonraker, you have Jaws, falls in love with the random girl, and
Yeah, no, I fucking
Which
hate
I
Moonraker.
enjoyed that. You know.
it was
I
For
guess you
me, it's
would, yeah.
the boring stuff is the stuff I don't like.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I was
Spectre is
falling
boring. I don't
asleep.
like
Like
Spectre at all.
as long as it's entertaining in some way, I prefer that to nothing. You know. So I did not know you hated Moonraker that much. I really liked it.
It's so tedious.
it's so
it's
bad, and it just like the movie right before it, Spy Who Loved Me, is great and serious, and then Moonraker just the campiness doesn't work. You have like Jaws falls out of an airplane and
Yeah, that's the
survives
part. I
somehow.
hate that part so much.
yeah.
I
I mean,
hate that movie.
if you take the context of coming after like a good movie, then yeah. But I feel like that's not really fair.
Which
And the,
Spectre also did, Sheta.
Yeah, but that's
So
not the
you
only
that
reason.
count.
That's not the only reason I
That's the
don't like
main
it
reason
though.
to me. If they just made Spectre after Quantum of Solace, I'd think, hey, Spectre's pretty good, you know?
that's just because Quantum of Solace is very forgettable. I really don't
Yeah,
remember
it
much of
is.
that.
It is.
I should rewatch it, but I just do not remember much of it. Besides the one girl dead covered in oil, which was just copying the Goldfinger scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Now I'll ask you, who is your favorite James Bond?
Oh no, don't make me pick. It's
There
just
is
gotta.
there is one wrong choice in this, so just don't pick the wrong one.
Whoa, that is judgmental. Oh, it will just have to be Sean Connery for me. Even though I love Timothy Dalton, and my first James Bond is Pierce Bronson, so I always have an attachment there. But after watching all of them, I feel like Sean Connery is the main.
Oh man.
Just
I think
don't
I
hurt
think I may
yourself.
have to go with Timothy Dalton. I think so. It's so tough. Him and Connery, Brosnan, too. I mean, I like all of the James Bonds. There's not, well, I mean, all but, you know, the one who was only in one movie, but
Yeah, George Lazenby is the wrong answer. If you say
So
favorite James
mean.
Bond.
maybe if he was in another one.
That's not
But
his fault.
I think Timothy Dalton, I don't know. I think he's the closest to the character for me. I don't know. But Connery
Yeah.
is, of course, great.
Yeah, Timothy Dalton has that edge to him, so it's very close.
Edge.
He just has the
Edge is the word, yep.
yeah. He just has the issue of only having 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, Daniel Craig also has a bit of an edge with his grittier
He
portrayal.
does, but he's blonde. I don't allow it.
Well,
I like
my
Daniel
favorite-
Craig, though.
my favorite James Bond, I've always liked Roger Moore. Even though a lot of his movies wind up going very campy and funny, I enjoyed him for a lot
He's
of them.
pretty good at the campy and funny, though, which is why I love Live and Let Die.
And he stars in both one of my favorite James Bond movies and my most hated James Bond movie. He
So
has
he's
a
got
range.
Yeah.
Granted, by the end, he was also getting pretty old for James Bond.
Yeah, he was getting too fucking old, that's for sure.
Jesus.
When he's
so
like swooning
mean.
all these young girls, I'm like, fucking way.
Yeah, it's getting a bit creepy there at the end.
Yeah.
Not that
Plus,
I'm complaining. I'm just kidding.
Plus, I think his last movie was also the one where there was like the one like the Olympic skater girl who's like 18 or 16 trying to hook up with him, and he's just like, "Oh no, you're too young."
At least he knew that.
He's got a line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll throw one trivia question out there. See if either of you can
What?
answer it.
Trivia. I hate trivia.
Which is the only James Bond song to hit number 1 on Billboard's top 100 or Hot 100 charts?
I have no idea, so I'm bowing out.
What? Can't have a guess.
No, I don't even have a guess.
I don't have a guess, but you gotta guess one song. Just do it, because I'm gonna look like a fool if I do it by myself.
Living Daylight's the best one. There's my pitch. I know that's not the answer, but that's my guess anyways.
I'm just gonna guess Live and Let Die.
Yeah, maybe.
Also,
I mean,
maybe Skyfall.
All those incorrect. My hint, Justin, it's one of your favorite bands.
one of my favorite bands. I just said Living Daylights.
Who sings that one?
Oh, did I say Living Daylights? I meant to say View to a Kill. Why did I say Living Daylights? I don't even remember that song. View to a Kill was my actual answer. And they did it?
Yes.
Good for
Peter!
them. Nice.
The only number 1 James Bond song, A View to a Kill by Duran Duran.
Nice. Good for them.
Which surprised me, because I knew they had it, but I figured like Skyfall by Adele or the newest song by Billie Eilish would have jumped up there, but neither of them did. All right,
Joe,
there's our...
Wait. Can you ask who do you think would be a good new James Bond for the modern age after Daniel?
Henry Cavill.
I really like the Rob Stark.
Richard Madden, that was going to be my pick too.
Yeah.
Either of those I'd be happy with. It's insane they haven't made that official yet.
Henry Cavill's too imposing to be James Bond, in my
Good.
opinion.
I want an imposing James Bond.
I mean, as a spy, he'll walk in and be like, "Oh, that guy's a spy for sure," or like something.
Like Sean
He's-
Connery didn't stick out like a sore thumb when he walks into the room.
No, but he's also got like a mysteriousness that could be something else.
If Pierce Brosnan can be James Bond, I think Henry Cavill can.
Okay, I guess the handsomeness level.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's our James Bond talk.
And that
Now-
ends the James Bond podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Good night, everybody. Follow me on X and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, we do a daily podcast now.
Oh, God, did I just sign up for that? Shit.
All right, Justin, tomorrow, the chapters we have to read.
Oh, God.
I'd want to do that. Then we can finish the book, and I don't have to be left hanging for a week.
We could do a daily chapter podcast. You just read one chapter each day.
No, I can't do that. I want to read at my level, or the speed I want to.
Well, we'll go to Mistborn. So let's do first a recap of last week's chapters. And it's Sheta's turn.
Oh yeah, it's me. Okay. All right. Last week we entered into the third part of the book, The Broken Skies. So if we first follow, also the epigraphs of all of this chunk is mostly about the like different types of arts of I don't know, elemency, is it, would I call it that? But just like ferrochemy, hemalurgy, etc. and stuff.
Easy thing that people call it. Just call it the metallic arts.
Metallic arts, okay.
Because they all have to do with metal, and there's 3 different ones.
All right. That is an outside of the book term, right? All right. Anyway, we follow Marsh. He's in a village outside of Luthadel. He's being all emo and dark, and he's trying to keep him a part of him secret from who he's controlled by, who they've said is Ruin, right? I don't know if we got confirmation that it is
I believe
Ruin.
he said that Ruin spoke through him, or his thoughts were Ruin's thoughts. He did say that.
Yeah. But it's so weird because Marsh has his own thoughts still. And when he talks, he's talking like evil Marsh, not Ruin, you know? Anyways, he goes to kill a noble who lives in that village, and he spikes him with the spike, and he's going to take that spike over to Ruin, who's been wanting to eat him or to have that spike. Anyway, so he also wanted to kill the villagers, but he's like, nah, you guys are gonna die anyway. And he walks out of town, and there's a lava explosion that kills the whole village behind him. Then we go to follow Spook and Breeze and Sazed in their city, and Spook has been daredeviling and Spider-Maning around Hell's Kitchen. He's trying to find Dern, who is kind of like his old beggar friend, to ask him why he has been spreading rumors about him. And it sounds like Dern is also a rebel against Quellion, and he kind of wants to help Spook and them. So he's like, all right, go talk to Breeze. And no, he doesn't say that straight up, but he says go. So he has kind of allies in that city now. Then a man who works for Dern begins to he follows Spook and asks him to help him with his poor 7-year-old sister, who Quillion's about to burn for being a noble. And Spook's like, I'm no hero. But then he says, all right, I will help you. Give me 10 men who can work the night shift, basically. Then we go back to Ellen and Set and them in Fadrix, and they're talking about the siege they're about to do in that town and stuff. And Ellen's like, poison the wells, but tell them we're gonna poison it so no one dies. And then and also you can bully the villages, but don't kill anyone. Just make them worry. And so that's like, yo, you're being half-assed, bro. And Ellen's like, he does not want to go full evil, go full siege. Anyway, they have a plan to sneak Vin into the chamber. Oh, Ellen has that plan. Demu is awake and he talks to Ellen a bit about wanting to be let go because he feels like he got sick because he had lost faith in Kelsier. We talk about that a bit, about the religion of Kelsier. Then there's a ruckus in the camp. Vin wakes up from the ruckus and she goes, finally. Then she takes a shot of metal water and then she grabs a couple more and she flies into the fight. They fight. Vin trips some horses with tents. Then an Allomancer appears and Vin chases him. And it's the mysterious Allomancer from earlier. He leads her into the city, then disappears. And then she's like, oh, crap. This was beginning to feel like a trap and stuff, a trick of some sort. And it was a trick from Yeoman to get rid of the Koloss. They find out that half of their Koloss were destroyed. They had killed each other, and that was the main point of that attack. Vin and Ellen are kind of bummed, and they agree to kind of split the Koloss. Then Vin talks to Human and gets Human to show her how Koloss are made. They are made of people, specifically hemalurgy. And Spook, back to Spook in his superhero life. And he is talking with Franson, the guy with the sister complex. And he misses stalking his girl, Baldra. And he's kind of given control of that city to Sazed and Breeze now that they're here. But he's kind of back working with the people of the city that they met. They find out that he has those 10 guys digging up the house that was burned down a couple days ago, and they find 9 skulls in there, even though 10 guys went into the building. So there's some kind of mystery there. Then we're back with Breeze and Sazed. They're at a bar drinking with some Ska guys, and they're talking about how Ska used to be afraid of the mist, but now they're out because they believe that Kelsier is Lord of the Mist. Breeze has told these Ska guys that they can ask Sazed some questions because they trust Terraceman. Sazed answers them pretty honestly that they are here to take over, but that he really trusts Ellen, that he's a great man and stuff. And then they were the Ska start talking about Survivor of the Flames, a Survivor of the Flames. And Sazed's huh? That's a weird name for Kelsier. They're nope, that's a new survivor. Sazed he's all curious, and he asks them if he could meet him. He's all right, tomorrow there'll be an execution near the market pit. Be there or be square. And that's where we end up, right? Oh, no. We do not end up there. We go to Tensoon in his puppy adventures. He had he went to a place he had went last year after he betrayed Zane, and he dug up 2 spikes that he had left there. They were Orseer's spikes. And he absorbs them into his body, and now he's got 4 spikes in him. And then he goes to find Vin. And I think that's all the big things that happened.
All right. Next time
You learned
you gotta speed that up a little bit.
I won't take notes anymore then.
Yeah,
Then you
if you
can
missed
just
the
jump in.
last podcast, you're all good.
All right. So this week we went through chapters 40 through 44. How are you two feeling about those chapters? What'd you think?
I'm gonna say what I said every time. I liked them. They were very interesting. I feel like my answers get less exciting for that question every time. When are we gonna read a really shitty book so I can say I hated them every time?
Well, I didn't like these chapters.
For what reason?
It was I just get all frustrated when I feel like a trap is happening and then people walk right into it and stuff.
I see.
I'm just like, no, no. It's like, yeah, a horror movie where like, don't go out there, you're gonna get killed, and they're just like,
So you're saying you saw a trap coming?
Mm-hmm.
Normally I would, but everything always goes so fucking well for the characters. It's not usually one where like horrible traps happen, so I don't
I've
see any of
been
that coming.
I've been just feeling this like you know, in Dark Knight when there's just that tension Joker sound, like that's how it's been feeling like this
Oh,
whole
that sound
like
effect specifically.
yeah, I've been feeling that
That
like
yeah,
that's something is very wrong here kind of feeling.
makes sense. Things are getting apocalyptic, so I should have seen that coming. I don't know why I did
Yeah,
not.
and like because they've been going okay, that's even worse. I'm like, that's just making whatever's gonna drop worse.
hmm
So now let's go and dive into these chapters in depth more. So starting off with chapter 40, Epigraph. Originally, we assumed that a Koloss was a combination of two people into one. That was wrong. Koloss are not the melding of two people, but five, as evidenced by the 4 spikes needed to make them. Not 5 bodies, of course, but 5 souls. Each pair of spikes grant what the conjurer would call the blessing of potency. However, each spike also distorts the Koloss body a little more, making it increasingly inhuman. Such is the cost of hemalurgy.
Ooh. Um, I wanted to say a theory here. Can we do that during a little bit?
There's
Yeah,
not
sure,
like a
why not?
hard rule,
Okay. It's just really directly relating to this. That are Koloss bodies, in quotes, just really, really old human skins that have been distorted in this way? Because the
Like the
blessing of
blue skin, are you saying?
Yeah, yeah. Like it's just been like mutated through use of like this. And then the blessing of potency, very specific, like that is strength, like pewter strength. And that is their one like quality that Koloss have is their strength, which is interesting. So they are just like they have the one power.
You're
And
saying
so
they're
I was
like
like,
super potency people?
yeah, like they were made to be strong, so that's why it's the blessing of potency that they get. And I was like, oh, Spook's body has been changed by burning tin all the time, so we know that doing this does change, and it says it right in here that it makes them inhuman. So I
Oh,
think
like
they
it
are.
came from an original person? Like if you do that,
Yeah,
what Spook's doing for like 100 years, something fucked up happens? Is that what you're saying?
I just yeah, because it says 5 people, so one person is the Koloss body, and then 4 people become the spikes. So it is like a really old human skin, which is gross and weird.
Alright, on to the chapter. Elend, Ham, Set, Vin, Demu, and Norden are having a meeting. Norden explains that the 16% and 1/16th thing is just simply too precise to be natural. In nature, there is randomness on a short scale, but with trends on a large scale. With the people being sick ending up in such perfect numbers, it shows that it is being crafted by somebody. Elend asks Norden if he knows how Inquisitors were made, and Norden explains that the Obligators had tried to find out, and they had heard rumors that Inquisitor was a fusion of many different people. Ham Ham says that makes sense for why they hunted down Ska Mistings. They used them to make Inquisitors, and the day that Kelsier and Vin thought they had found Marsh's body, there was a lot of blood and like a body, and that's why they thought Marsh was dead. But there was likely more than one dead body in that room.
That's why you should always pick through the corpses you find.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like in
How,
a
how often are you doing that?
Well, whenever
just
it
in like
happens.
Fallout, you know. Like
Yeah, in Fallout. In a video game. Yep.
I was like, there are like 6 legs here, you know. Like
Ellen tells the group that Koloss are made the same way. When their numbers would get low, they'd attack a village and raise their numbers. He also says that the Lord Ruler built in ways to control the Koloss and Kandra, so he likely did the same for Inquisitors. But now something is controlling the Inquisitors and the other Koloss. Everything going on now with the world falling apart is part of a pattern, and if they can understand it, then they can figure out how to beat it. After the meeting ends, Damu talks with Vin and Elend. And Damu says that there is now a rift in the army, and the people who got sick for longer are being ostracized by the rest of the army. Now, after some back and forth, Ellen decides to put these Mistfallen into their own company, but they will still deal with reintegration and fixing the superstition of the sick ones after they are done with Fadrix.
I'm really interested in this this weird kind of form of like bigotry that's starting to start in there based on their religious beliefs. And I'm so curious if it's like, just a commentary on how people tend to do that when they start believing things so real, or if it is going to turn out that they're weirdly fucked up in some way, and actually dangerous or bad.
yeah. That's definitely one of my theories.
And then a messenger from Luthadel named Conrad arrives. Ellen asks him about the resupply, but Conrad says that he was sent from Penrod to ask Elend for supplies. Luthadel right now is beset by riots, and their food stores have been pillaged and burned. Later, Ellen talks to the man in private and learns that the messengers that he had sent never arrived in Luthadel. Penrod had sent out 4 messengers, and Conrad was the only one to arrive after he managed to get around a group of Koloss. Ellen talks to Vin about this and realizes that this means that their enemy wants him to leave Fadrix. Vin stops Ellen from saying more, so that way Ruin cannot overhear and learn too much.
I was glad he realized that. I feel like that's either a super meta 4D chess or really the thing showing its hand about its fear.
Gosh. Sometimes I'm afraid to say things out loud in case Ruin can hear.
In the podcast?
Yeah. Like, oh, you're really getting close to the truth, and you should be quiet.
And then Vin goes out into the mist, and she thinks about the A-Team in the city, and she just had an inexplicable desire to find it, and was certain that it would help somehow. And while she's out there, the mist is pulling away from her like normal, and she tries to draw in the mist, but she doesn't. She feels like she should be able to draw it in and use its power allomancy like before, but there was just something keeping it back. And that's the end of the chapter. Anything else about the chapter you two want to go over?
Just that I'm glad they're pursuing seriously pursuing the question of the percentage thing and starting to pick together the order of all this, because I feel frustrated when they pick up on this stuff and then don't follow it. So I'm very glad that they are.
I thought it was funny that Sid got so annoyed and annoying about what does it have to do with stuff, and so they can explain.
Yeah. Yeah, have the guy says, "What does this even matter?" So they have their excuse to answer their own question. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And I'm glad finally Ellen and then over the other town says it too, finally like picking up what Vin has been worried about for a long time already. You know. It has been a year since the last book, or longer than that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a
been a
year.
year
Yeah.
since Ascension.
Okay. Man, that's bad. It's a year since Ruin has escaped.
So now let's move on to chapter 41. Hemalurgic spikes change people physically depending on which powers are granted, where the spike is placed, and how many spikes someone has. Inquisitors, for instance, are changed drastically from the humans they used to be. Their hearts are in different places from those of humans, and their brains rearranged to accommodate the lengths of metal jabbed through their eyes. Koloss are changed in even more drastic ways. One might think that Kandra are changed most of all. However, one must remember that new Kandra are made from mist wraiths, not from humans. The spikes worn by the Kandra cause only a small transformation in their hosts, leaving their bodies mostly like that of a mist wraith, but allowing their minds to begin working. Ironically, while the spikes dehumanize the Koloss, they give a measure of humanity to the Kandra.
Mm.
Finally answered a question I've had since the first book about the spikes in the brains. I don't know why I didn't think of just the brain moves. I didn't know that was a possibility.
Now we go and we are with Sazed, Breeze, and Alrian, and they're gathered, in the area where the executions are to take place. And, there's also a lot of normal people around as well. Sazed is fascinated by the survivor of the flames, and he's figuring that it is a new religious figure. He thinks that this survivor religion might go through a succession of new survivors. And then Alrian points out the citizen when he arrives, and he is now wearing blue, which is an approved color only for him.
Oh man, this makes me love him so much more. Every time he shows up, he's in a different, more spectacular color.
Bitch, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, approved. Approved by who? My goodness. I hate him.
And then we cut to Spook, and he's like on top of a building, and he's watching the building that's going to get burned, waiting to enter it. And then he looks over at Beldre, who is by Quellian, and wonders if she is sad about all this. And Kelsier tells him that he will need to kill some people. Spook watches as the people to be executed are put into a mansion. These people's ties to nobles are becoming more strenuous, with some simply being married to men with noble blood, and one of the guys, who did speak out against the citizen, being put in because he once catered to a noble clientele. After the house is started on fire, some soldiers open up a hidden back door. Quellian has been secretly removing the Allomancers from the fires with hidden passages because they are just too valuable to kill. Kelsier tells Spook that he needs to save them and to ask, what would Kelsier do? So Spook goes into action. The Allomancer gets removed from the building, and Spook goes in there. He fights to try to save the rest of the people, and he kills many of the soldiers in the fight in the burning building after Kelsier tells him to. When it comes down to just one final soldier, the soldier holds a knife to a small girl's neck. Spook tells the other people to leave the building through the back door, or through a back door, where men will take them into the underground. As they leave, Spook tells them to put the plank down on the door, which frightens the soldier that's still inside. He lets go of the girl, runs over to the door, but it's locked, and it's too late for him. And then Spook breaks the man's knees with a dueling cane. Kelsier tells him to leave the man and let him burn. Spook tries to break the hidden door, but it's too strong. It was built to be able to withstand a thug.
Before we were saying this ain't Kelsier because he didn't like Breeze, but now him being like, we're going to have to smoke these bitches. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Kelsier did smoke a lot of bitches.
You know what? To me, it's the way he phrases it. Like he's trying to say, like, oh, you might have to kill everyone. Trying to.
Oh, is that how the audiobook said it? That's not how I read it.
No, he just the words, not the way I said it exactly, but just the phrasing of it. Like, you might have to kill these guys. Like, sadly, they all gotta die. Like, it just seemed really evil.
Yeah, it did. But to me, it felt more like an order. Like, you have to kill these people,
But he says you might.
Oh, okay. If he said might, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And I was like, why are you pushing me? Like, that's how it felt like. Like he's getting him ready to murder,
And we jump back outside the building, and as they watch, Breeze says that Kelsier was wrong. Kelsier had thought that if they had gotten rid of the nobles, then all this would end. And Sazin begins to feel anger at Quellian. Breeze tells Alrian that now isn't the time, so she stops rioting everyone. And she's upset, though, and says that she could have the crowd tear Quellian apart, and that he deserves it. Breeze tells her that they haven't prepared enough, but Alrian says that Breeze is never done preparing.
Ooh, trouble in paradise?
I really like them pointing out the difference between, or Kelsier believing about the nobles, that people are just going to devolve down to the worst stuff no matter what. As that's my favorite part about this whole citizen arc.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that in this city, like the vision of what they thought they wanted play out in this in this city. It's really interesting.
Watching, like they said, basically what would have happened if they didn't set things to have some stability right after. That it would have devolved down just into who is the toughest asshole who's going to yell the most and scare the most people.
And preach the most. Like, I can't believe how much it's reliant on the religion of the survivor,
At first, it seems like it gets less and less about that every day, though.
What? I feel like it's more.
I mean, as he's becoming an obvious noble,
Oh yeah, I
and
mean
not
he's
even
trying
hiding it
to.
anymore.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because now people are just scared of getting killed. You hear how they talk when they go to the bar and stuff, and people are just like, they kind of know what's going on, but now they're scared of being killed by this guy and the power he's amassed.
And then a man kicks out a window from the burning building and leaps out of it holding a child. You know, his hood falls down and is revealed to be Spook, and he is glaring at the citizen in a challenge. Breeze tells Alrianne that she is going to need to riot after all. So Breeze sues, and Alrianne riots, and the crowd begins rushing at the guards. And Spook manages to escape with the child. And that's the end of the chapter.
You forgot to say his cloak is on fire and he looks like such an image, like flying through the sky. Right? That happened, right?
That's not how I remember it. Was it described like that?
He was quite a he like struck a pretty impressive image as he flew through the sky carrying a little girl that he rescued from the
Well,
fire.
didn't he stand and stare down the citizen for a bit? Wasn't that it?
Yeah. He struck a pose too,
Hmm.
Not on purpose, but it was good. I think it's so interesting that they are like, if they do this and like the crowd gets hyped and they make a move like that, that's just gonna like heighten the Survivor of the Flames story so much. And it's crazy that it's just behind the scenes, Breeze and Ariane and Sazed like all pulling the strings on the story and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like making
It
the
really
riot
shows.
happen.
It really shows how much influence and power Mistborns and Allomancers have if left unchecked. You can see why the Lord Ruler was so worried about him.
We'll go on to chapter 42. I think that the Koloss were more intelligent than we wanted to give them credit for being. For instance, originally they only used spikes the Lord Ruler gave them to make new members. He would provide the metal and the unfortunate ska captives, and the Koloss would create new recruits. At the Lord Ruler's death, then, the Koloss should have quickly died out. This was how he designed them. If they got free from his control, he expected them to kill themselves off and end their own rampage. However, they somehow made the deductions that the spikes in the bodies of fallen Koloss could be harvested, then reused. They then no longer required a fresh supply of spikes. I often wonder what effect the constant reuse of spikes had in their population. A spike can only hold so much of a hemalurgic charge, so they could not create spikes that granted infinite strength, no matter how many people those spikes killed and drew power from. However, did the repeated reuse of spikes perhaps bring more humanity to the Koloss they made?
Yeah, I just believed that one when he said it.
Oh
Whoever's
yeah,
talking
100%. I
just
mean, you
took
can
that as an
see it.
official theory.
Yeah. I have a ongoing list of who is writing that stuff, like that I cross off when there's evidence that
Mm,
um
that's smart, yeah.
maybe I'll read it at the end and you can,
Did you feel there
put
was
it.
evidence in this chat part? It's not human,
Uh
are you saying? Because he referred to the Koloss and
yeah, well like yeah, he's just not he's learning the stuff for the first time it seems, like or he's about hemalurgy and things like that.
is he, or is he just saying what they know?
He wrote like originally we assumed that Koloss were a combination of two people into one. So
Yeah, so
he
so that's actually interesting because that proves that it's. He said originally we thought.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that
we
proves that it's not somebody like a million years from now. You know,
Yes, I
it would
crossed
have
off
to
Tin
be,
Soon from that, like
and that's true too. Yep, that would. Yeah, but I think a previous one did. But yeah, that's very true. Yep. See, that's smart. I should be doing that. That's yeah, no, that's smart.
you can help me later.
Oh, I'm not
Like,
going to remember. But yeah, so
oh,
far that's
okay.
good. But no, that was one of my main theories was that it was somebody they were passing down the knowledge to, you know. So now that one's pretty much out the window unless there's some other element I wouldn't know about or if he's talking in a different version of we than I'm used to.
Mhm.
It's Venom.
Yeah, it's Venom. That would surprise me, I have to say.
The last epigraph. And we are Venom.
Yeah, if that
Uh,
happens, again, like I always say, I will stop reading these books because I'll know they're garbage.
All right, so we go into the chapter, and Marsh enters Luthadel. In his mind, he
Anytime
thinks
it
about.
starts with that, with Marsh, I'm like, oh God, what the fuck horrible shit is going to happen now? Every
Yeah,
time Marsh has
scary.
walked in, things get worse for somebody now.
And it's so funny because it sounds so cozy, like he's just going for a walk, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, for 1 second, I'm like, oh, good, Martha's going to Luthadel. Wait, no. Get the fuck out of there. I heard shit's going
everybody
bad in
run!
Luthadel.
Like,
Yeah, I don't want you there.
hmm.
In his mind, he thinks about how he had once been the leader of the Ska Rebellion here. And he thinks about the 4
Aw.
villages he had stopped at on the way here and killed the men guarding the food stores and setting them ablaze. He knows other Inquisitors are doing the same thing as they search for what Ruin wants above all others, the thing that preservation had taken from him, but he had yet to find.
I want to know about that.
Jeez.
Marsh was heading to Penrod in order to stab him with the spike he had made a few days ago. The size of the spike did not matter. Inquisitor spikes were large in order to be intimidating, but even a small pin would be as effective. In the past, there had been multiple attempts to spike Elend, but they all failed.
That's horrifying. I'm so curious what moments those were that I don't even notice if they're in the book, or what moments happen that they don't seem to be noticing.
Then
That's
it's
we
the
really
saw-
fucking
kiss.
freaky.
We saw one right away at the beginning of the book.
Yeah, with the Inquisitor, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, like,
and
more subtle
Mhm.
ones, you know? That's freaky, man.
Marsh heads into Penrod's room and attacks. And during the fight, he feigns as if it is an easy fight. And then he stabs Penrod in the heart as if from desperation before escaping. Later, Marsh listens in as the doctor checks out the spike. The doctor believes that it barely missed his heart, but Marsh knows that it actually had pierced Penrod's heart. And now, if the spike was removed, Penrod would die. So the doctor is going to leave it in. Now, with the spike in his body, Penrod's mind can be touched by Ruined, however, not outright controlled.
Yeah, that is a
Well,
huge, huge thing.
I was so sad. I thought I was going to get to see more Penrod. I actually liked him quite a bit. But now he's just going to be some fucked up thing.
This is horrifying. I have a whole
Yes,
thing.
it is. It's feeling to me like whatever scope we were prepared for, things seem to be escalating quite quickly.
All right. Anything else in this chapter you two want to go over?
No, not yet.
Just I feel sad for Penrod. Oh, and I also appreciated that they said, because when he stabbed him in the heart, my first thought is, aren't they going to notice? That he took a whole long time explaining the doctor's thoughts on that and stuff so that they could justify it to me. I always appreciate that.
Yeah. And Penrod's like, no, I feel great. Like,
Yeah. And then also when they point out that eventually it'll take control, and then he'll be like, make sure nobody takes it out. And then he'll wear clothes. Nobody will notice. Nobody will suspect. There'll be no reason to know. I like that too.
All right, we'll move on to chapter 43. For all that it disgusts me, I cannot help but be impressed by hemalurgy as an art. In allomancy and ferochemy, skill and subtlety come through the applications of one's powers. The best allomancer might not be the most powerful, but instead the one who can best manipulate the pushes and pulls of metals. The best ferochemist is the one who is most capable of sorting the information in his copper mines, or best able to manipulate his weight with iron. The art that is unique to hemalurgy, however, is knowledge of where to place the spikes. Vin and Elend land on a roof outside of Yeoman's palace, and Vin mentions that they are being followed by Yeoman's Mistborn, and that Mistborn is a few buildings away. But she reassures Elend that they won't be attacked while they are both together. And Vin and Elend head down to the ball that Yeoman is hosting. Their plan is for Elend to start a distraction with Yeoman, and for Vin to use that distraction in order to sneak into the cache. And Vin makes Elend promise that if something goes down, then he needs to escape back to the camp. Don't wait for her. Trust her to deal with things. The ball is being held in the former ministry building, and it is smaller than, the normal halls where balls would be, since it's not a manor. So the ballroom's smaller, and what they have then is all these different separate rooms in the building are now being used as smaller meeting rooms for nobles to congregate and talk with each other. Vin tells Elend to give her an hour before beginning his distraction, and the two separate. Vin walks around the building to get a feel for it. She doesn't notice anybody following her. After a while, Vin burns bronze and notices 2 women nearby burning metals. One is a tin eye, and the other is a smoker. So normally Vin would not be able to sense him, but since she's Vin, she can pierce that copper cloud, and that's why she knows. And the 2 of them have been following Vin discreetly by joining in with conversation with other women, but staying within tin eye earshot. It's like they'll walk into a room, just start talking with other women, and then when Vin leaves, they'll excuse themselves and go, and just very nonchalantly. Vin finds Slow Swift at the ball, and she asks him to send her 2 of his men to help her out. Vin goes outside and, to like an outside area and waits for a while. The 2 women follow and sit at a table. Eventually, the other guests hear about Elend confronting Yeoman and leave to go check it out. Vin uses this moment when they leave to attack the women. She uses duralumin and a soothing to erase all emotions from the women, and then while they're distracted by this, she knocks them out.
That was so shocking to me how graphically it was described, smashing her face into a desk and beating her out. That was crazy.
Oh, you forget how violent and strong Vin is.
Yeah.
All right. She tells Slow Swift's men to hide the women and to sit down their spot. If anyone shows up and asks what happened, just to tell them that the women left to follow Vin. And Vin removes her dress and she has a black outfit underneath, and she heads down a staircase looking for the cash.
Ninja Vin. Vinja.
Oh, God. No. And yet I love it.
Yeah.
Inside, Elend challenges Yeoman to a duel for the city, but Yeoman says that is ridiculous since he is not an Allomancer and Elend is. And Elend tells him to pick a champion, but Yeoman says that he does not have a Mistborn to fight against Elend. But Elend knows that is bullshit. He doesn't state that out loud, but he thinks it. As they continue to talk, Elend keeps on changing the subject, simply as a way in order to keep Yeoman talking. And Yeoman seems to find this odd and is kind of picking up on it. But the one thing Elend does know from growing up in his father's house was how to annoy people.
He's using his power he had back in the first book against his dad that he hasn't really had a chance to use for a while. I thought that was hilarious.
His true power.
Yeah, his true power to be pedantic and annoying.
And that's the end of the chapter. Anything else from it you two want to go over?
Oh, just getting to watch Elend argue with this guy I enjoy too much. Just because they're both so similar, as they point out a bit later. I just find it really fun to see that side of Elend we haven't seen for so long.
Yeah.
And I quite like Yeoman as well. So I like seeing him get to say his thoughts on things.
All right, we'll keep on moving on to our last chapter for the week, chapter 44. Each spike, positioned very carefully, can determine how the recipient's body is changed by hemalurgy. A spike in one place creates a monstrous, near-mindless beast. In another place, a spike will create a crafty, yet homicidal inquisitor. Without the instinctive knowledge granted by the power at the Well of Ascension, Rashik would never have been able to use hemalurgy. With his mind expanded, and with little practice, he was able to intuit where to place spikes that would create the servants he wanted. It is a little-known fact that the Inquisitor's torture chambers were actually hemalurgic laboratories. The Lord Ruler was constantly trying to develop new breeds of servant. It is a testament to hemalurgy's complexity that, despite 1,000 years of trying, he never managed to create anything with it beyond the 3 kinds of creatures he developed during those few brief moments holding the power.
See, last time I was criticizing not having any like Frankenstein experiment psychotic things going on, but the Lord Ruler's been doing it for the whole time, so I'm pretty impressed with him. Too. He's been just poking into random spots on people, cutting people up, and stabbing them together in different ways, trying to figure out how to make a new monster. But it's hilarious to me to say that he hasn't been successful, so he's been killing God knows how many people for how long, for absolutely no reason, you know?
Yeah.
Unless, of course, we learn something later, but for now, it's just really interesting and funny to see that.
I hadn't thought about that too. I thought I wonder if maybe the Koloss were his first try or something, and then the Inquisitors were their second try, and then the Koloss, not the Khandra, were his last try. Because I was like, Khandra are interesting because you don't have to actually pierce them. That seems kind of barbaric. Like they just mold around it, and it just seems like it's made for it instead of trying to do it with hammering it into the bodies. That just seems so unnatural compared to the Khandra, you know? I wonder if that's his most beloved creations are the Khandra. Because they're smarter and better.
Well, wouldn't you not really want them to be smart? Doesn't that kind of make it harder?
That's why he has their weakness and stuff. And he makes the contract, with them.
Well, the contract was more something that the Koloss made, or the Conjure made, in order to stop humans from hunting them down and killing them.
Or so they think.
Yeah, but what about the thing with they have to come help him and stuff, help the Lord Ruler?
Yeah, the first contract, right? Wasn't that what
Yeah,
it
the
was
first
called?
contract.
Or the first
Yeah.
order or something? I don't remember.
First
Something
contract.
like that.
Yeah, the first contract.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was
Is there more than one? Goodness, I missed out.
Well, they make a lot of contracts.
Yeah, the first contract was the one that they made, with like the Lord Ruler, and it also set the rules for them, and because they were being hunted down by humans and stuff.
Yeah, so they
see.
say, as if the Lord Ruler didn't manipulate them into anything. I don't trust anything in history. I don't trust at this point at all.
It's probably wise.
Unless Orseer himself was there, I don't trust it.
I wanted to know that
Tetsuun,
too.
whatever the fuck I'm supposed to call him.
Tetsuun
Was he
said
there?
he was
that
pretty,
during the
no,
second?
he said he was. Yeah, he said he was pretty old, but not that old.
Yeah, he's a third. He
Yeah,
said
so there you go.
I believe he was there during the first contract, but he said he was not there with when the Lord Ruler had his ascension. I think during one of the early trial chapters, he said he was there for the contract, or that he helped write it or something like that.
Wow.
All right, so into the chapter. Vin is sneaking to the lower levels of the building. She finds a couple guards, and she soothes and rides their emotions in order to get them to leave where they're standing, making them feel bored or something like that. She goes past them, and she finds the trap door in there that leads down to the cache. After going down to it, she finds the area where the hidden door used to be, but it has been forcibly torn out of the wall. So not the way she or Elend would do it and pull it out by the metal like it's supposed to be. Vin goes through it, and then she goes into the cache. And then she hears the stone door closing behind her.
Oh, God. That hurt me to read.
Yeah.
This part also is really interesting because it shows a lot more just how friggin' dangerous Mistborn are. When she's able to easily intercept just by, pretty much just completely overtaking people's bodies. There's a lot of that in this book, but it's really weird to see it with humans.
You mean the people she manipulates?
Yeah. She just fucks with them, and then they get into a fight, or they, get super bored. And stuff that you think you're in control of, but your emotions actually have a lot of say in.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes to show, I'm my later theory, it's do we even make decisions with this kind of power?
Well, it's like that in real life, people with psychoses who have crazed emotions and thoughts, if you can't control that stuff, what do you control,
Mm-hmm.
Elend and Yeoman are continuing their argument, and Elend is really enjoying it. It is bringing back the feelings he had arguing philosophy when he was younger, and he wishes he could have done this with Yeoman back then. However, Elend is losing the crowd when he gets more philosophical. So whenever he tries to make things more exciting for the crowd, then he begins to lose Yeoman. And whenever he tries to make things better for Yeoman, he begins to lose the crowd.
I really like that him and Yeoman have a lot in common here. Some people are just super nerdy into their history or religious knowledge. It's really funny to watch two guys who never get to talk with anyone about that stuff because nobody else is as well read, just be super secretly into it, even though they hate each other.
Yep. It's like when I run into another Harry Potter fan.
Even if you hate them?
Yeah.
AK most Harry Potter fans, I'd assume.
I've never met one that I hated like that. Actually, I did one time. They were kind of snooty.
A guard comes in carrying a bloody, unconscious woman in a dress. And Elend knows that it is now time to go. But he also figures that now is the best chance to prove if Yeoman is an Allomancer. So Elend pulls out his knives and tries to attack Yeoman, but Yeoman dodges. And Yeoman pulls out knives of his own and slash at Elend. And even though Elend should have been able to dodge, it still hits Elend.
I love Yeoman's reaction so much of being liar, traitor, deceiver. He was so pissed. It made me think he was... Yeah, he says that.
Oh.
He gets really, really mad and screams at him, when he attacks him like that. Because I think a part of him, got lost in this conversation, too. And started to maybe believe that Elend was a little different, Like,
Oh,
you just kind of forget for half a second that you're actually in the middle of a war because you're just talking about stuff.
Yeoman attacks again, and once again he manages to stab or slash Elend in the side. And Elend can tell that Yeoman seems to be going a little bit slower than what a normal Mistborn would be moving like. And Elend burns Electrum, and this causes Yeoman to get a confused look. So Elend realizes that this means that Yeoman is currently burning Atium, which also means that Yeoman is a Mistborn.
I'm really interested in the fact that he's a Mistborn, he's saying, but he doesn't seem to know how to fight or what the hell he's doing. That's really strange to me.
I know what's happening.
Yeah, what?
He is not a Mistborn.
What is he?
He is being controlled.
With the spike in the back, like with
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I
Like
don't
with
know
Penrod.
about that.
Yep.
I don't know that you're able to just get Mistborn power. Okay, so you're saying that the thing took full control of him, and yeah, but it would know about. I don't know. I don't know if
No,
I believe that it would. Oh, please.
he is special because he is leading and everything. Whatever he found in the cache has already attached itself to him. I think it's a little like dot on his forehead that he has. It's
The
ATM
Adium one
in his.
could
Yep.
be.
I think that's not a dot, a sticker. I think that's a freaking little spike. Like, and I
A
don't.
spike. That's interesting. That's an interesting
Yeah.
idea. I don't know if I believe he's being controlled, but I do believe that he has some
Well, when I say
something from what's
controlled,
down in the cache for real.
yeah, because they say inquisitors, even though they have the spikes in them, they still keep their personality to a point, and so
Mhm.
that they're not controlled, but they are influenced and stuff, by you know who.
Yeah, I wonder.
Elend leaves the ball quickly after this and heads back to camp. A few hours later, Elend receives a letter from Yeoman informing him that he has captured Vin.
Oh no, that is so scary to hear. Vin is the strongest person ever.
Back to Vin, and she is trapped in the cave. And, she investigates the door, and Yeoman had removed the metal from the secret door, making it now a simple stone block. And Vin should have been able to push the block using derailment and pewter, but due to the angle of her footing, it's like a sloped angle, and also because there's likely more stone on the other side than normal, she can't move it. All right, so she walks around the cache, but she does not find any ATM in it, meaning that Yeoman likely had already removed it. And Vin then hears someone else walking in the cave. Yeoman's Mistborn must be here. He separated Vin and Elend, put the Mistborn in there, and now that way it can have a one-on-one fight. Vin goes to attack this Mistborn, but recognizes his face, Reen. And that's the end of part 3.
Like Reen, right?
You don't you don't believe it's Reen?
I don't think I don't think so.
What
I mean, I'm the one that said that he will show up later, but
You've
it's
been saying
like
that since the first book.
I know. Then now with this fake Kelsier, like I just don't trust anything anymore. I think it would be cool if it was Reen, but yeah, I'm half on if it would be him. If it's
I
Reen, he's some kind of Inquisitor monster. Like he's not Reen anymore. Ooh.
I
If it's Reen, I think because they say that a Mistborn with like the hemalurgy powers would be, or not hemalurgy, like something about Mistborn makes them more powerful and stuff. So I could see them taking him. I'm sorry, was he a Misting too, or a Mistborn as well?
No.
I
I
don't.
don't I don't remember.
Okay,
No, it
okay.
never say anything about that. And remember, he and Vin were only half siblings. They had the same mom, so I don't. His father could have been a full
Ah,
Ska, so he might not have had anything, or his
I
father maybe
see.
was another nobleman. But all we know is that he and Vin were half siblings.
I see. I see. Yes. Okay. In that case, then he could be an Inquisitor with spikes in him. But I don't know why they would do that.
I don't know why you'd assume any of that. I just assume it's him. There's no reason it wouldn't be.
Well,
I
I
think
have a
it's
theory about that. But
well,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I'd
Also,
assume it's either him or it's the same thing that's quote Kelsier. It'd be one of those two for me.
if he was Inquisitor, I think one of Vin's first thoughts would be He has spikes in his eyes.
Well, if I heard you right, you were saying like an Inquisitor, right, Sheta?
Yeah. Same thing
Not
that's
a
happened
straight
to
Inquisitor.
Yeoman, where it's not quite as extreme. Maybe this is a new
Oh, so you're
metal
just
art.
taking the yeoman thing as a fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
one
not that
I
far that on him being controlled by some kind of force, like you're saying.
but he's got a thing in his forehead, you know? And we've
He's
been
wearing a
talking
bead on it. He's wearing a bead on a little necklace head thing around his forehead.
maybe to disguise that it's a spike.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfectly reasonable assumption or thought, Shita. I just don't think that it's a for sure he is now some kind of new element Inquisitor type thing we're adding in.
Yeah, it could be so many things because the Lord Ruler wore those bracelets, you know? Like it could be a terrorist person, like or something, using like different kinds of powers. I think that's just a significant detail in Yeoman's character that could easily,
Mm-hmm.
he's
Yeah, I
somehow
don't
bringing
disagree at
that,
all.
like
There's something unnatural with him, I think, or else they wouldn't have pointed out how awkward he was in the fight and how yeah.
yeah, yeah. He definitely probably is not a true Mistborn trained to fight or anything. But I don't know. Maybe he's got. Yeah, he did almost slash Ellen though.
All right. Anything else from this chapter? Either of you two want to go over?
I'm curious
Mm,
to hear what kind of non-bullshit explanation he has for why Reen is here. Because so
yes.
far he hasn't pulled any total bullshit. And I'm really curious to see how he's going to do this without it sounding like total bullshit. So I'm very,
Yeah.
very curious about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been wanting to see Reen so much because that's just my favorite type of character. But
Yeah, I thought we might find him. I thought we'd just find him out in the world, not like actually plot relevant or important in some way.
yeah, I am 85% that it's not Reen though.
Jeez, what would be the benefit of that? What would be the point of that, is what I think.
I'll tell you. Like it's just to manipulate Vin. Like
Yeah.
just same as Kelsey or to Spook. He is her voice that she's heard her whole life, and you know that's one of my theories. Then just okay. Should I say my theory now?
Yeah. Are you done with talking about the chapter?
Yeah, I think I don't have anything more besides that.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. We'll go with the theories and
Well,
predictions then.
I just think she's lucky because I was worried they were just going to close her in a box and never let her out, and that was the end of Vin.
In a box?
Well, in the trap, you know.
Oh yeah, in the
Yeah, if you never did anything, she'd just starve to death in there, you know.
until her medals ran out. Yeah,
Just
Well, she didn't
cast
have any metal to pull on, right?
I
So
mean
she just.
inside her body, like pewter or something to keep her alive.
I'm saying long enough,
Yeah,
everyone's going to starve to death in there.
I wonder how long it would take to starve a Mistborn.
Yeah, unless she's already the Lord Ruler somehow that we don't know, has immortality. Anyways, you got
All
your
right.
theory?
Yeah. All right. So we know now that a spike in a person will allow Ruin to manipulate them and control them in a slight way. That is what happened with Zane with his chest spike. That voice was manipulating him. And Spook with his new spike that Kelsey are told to leave in his body, which is just really makes me sad. Like
You think
so now
Spook drank a spike? Is that what you're saying?
no, he had a spike in him, embedded in him when he was trying to escape. You remember? And he
No,
was gonna,
I totally forgot
yeah,
about that.
he was like gonna take it out, but Kelsier said, "No, leave it in. It looks badass." And
How
Spook was
did I
like,
Yeah.
"All
miss
right,
that? Did I
Yeah.
just
What it
yeah,
forget
was.
about that completely? Well, then, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously that's where the voice is coming from. Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yep. So when Spook was fighting the guys, he had the one guy
Oh,
stab the thug in front of him, so it went through that man into Spook, and part of the sword broke off and was left in Spook's arm or in
yeah."
his
He
but that
got
was as
shoulder.
an accident. That was an accident, right?
no,
Or we don't.
maybe we don't know.
Yeah,
The man.
interesting. Interesting
Weird
because,
that
I was already thinking that the citizen is probably one of the people that he's influencing, right? And
uh-huh.
so, yeah, that's interesting.
Did he get accidentally hemalurgied? That would be pretty crazy.
Accidentally or fake accidentally, you know?
Well, I feel like maybe manipulated by Ruin to make
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
No, I very
Like,
much believe that the citizen is spiked. I wonder if Yeoman is too. He probably is. I'm just going to be, see, now I got a new thing to be paranoid. Who's secretly
yeah,
spiked out there in the world, you know? I just
exactly.
assume it's
Okay.
everybody. I know it's
So,
not Elend or
no,
Vin, but otherwise.
no, Justin, it is Vin. That's my theory.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yes. Now, her spike is a little different, but it is. Well, Joe, I don't want to say it because I don't want to have any spoilers for people who are new readers, too.
Sheta,
Like,
if you're listening to this podcast, you're looking for spoiler theories. You want them.
I just feel bad for just saying whatever the heck I come up with. Like,
You
And
should.
Sheeta,
It's
the other
impressive.
thing, anything you are saying is stuff that you have gathered from the book that's been given to you.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Plus,
someone
for
might
all
not
you
be.
know, you could be very wrong.
Yeah, I know that. I'm most likely am. I just don't want to put thoughts into people's heads if they're not thinking like that, you know? And maybe something I say might influence their reading, and I
Who
don't
do you
like
think
that.
listens to a podcast because they don't want thoughts put in their head?
I guess. All right. Okay, so Vin's spike would be her earring from her mother. Not
Yeah, that's
like an
interesting.
actual spike, but something like that. And she's been hearing Reen's voice. We know that Ruin has taken on the voice. Well, we don't know that, but I'm saying I know. He takes on the voices of people, whoever the people would listen to, you know? Spook, Kelsier, Reen for Vin, and God for Zane. And then I have another sad theory I don't want to think about is Kelsier. He would have Mare's voice in his head, and that he was also spiked.
What would his have been?
Is Spike?
Yeah.
Well, he has the scars from the pits. I don't know if that counts, but he had, that's when he also snapped. So I feel like something else could have happened there, where he got spiked and suddenly he comes back with a vision and a huge ambition to take down the Lord Ruler. So I'm like, that could be which led to Ruin's escape, He was manipulated, he did all this for Mare, he started to get weird and violent in a way that made people uncomfortable. I could see Mare being like, "Kill him for me, Kelsier," like, "Nah."
Well, we saw things from Kelsier's perspective quite a few times, and I don't really recall it being like that, like it is with Spook specifically, or even how it is with Vin. I think the earring
We
thing is an interesting theory. My only wonder is, I just don't. He had to put it in his heart, to do that to him.
Yeah,
And they were
yeah,
very
for sure.
specific about there's very specific placements you do it. I just don't know if I believe an ear would be one of them because that's so detached from. Like, you can cut that off and your body doesn't even care.
Yeah, and she doesn't really wear it all the time, so, it's different, but then if
I
there
thought
is
she
a
did
new
wear it all the
power,
time.
she took it off before, when she was going to the well, she took it off, um, because people can still pull on it and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
And then my
Um,
only other commentary against that is, how would Reen's voice have been benefiting Ruin, if it's Ruin, to like, it kept telling her, the voice kept telling her to leave everyone, to not pursue this thing that would bring her to the well. I
yeah.
do think there's an element of some of the things it's saying now, but part of me also thinks they were just bringing that up so you'd remember Reen when he shows up.
Yeah, could be.
I'm just trying to imagine, because Spook is clearly being led down some kind of path, whether it's good or bad, I can't say. And then the way Marsh talked about how they're gonna influence, the leader guy, I forgot his name for some reason. Very specific. I just don't know if we're hearing that in Vin's head. I'm trying to imagine how that would be. Can you explain that in your theory?
Hearing Reen
Yeah, how
in
Reen's
Vin's head.
voice would be benefiting the force that would
Oh,
be
okay,
trying
yeah.
to push and manipulate her.
Well, we have two forces at odds So maybe the earring and maybe even Yeoman's dangly thing on his forehead are an opposing force, like trying to work against it. Because if Reen is telling her to run away from Kelsier and not help them, it might be what the spirits being like, you're gonna release ruin, like just run away and don't do this. Don't be part of this group. Don't do this adventure. Don't help them, So that might be an opposing force in her. It might not be ruin at all, Though now I don't know. I keep thinking of Lost because it's very confusing who's doing what,
Mm-hmm.
So if Reen has appeared like this, it could be Ruin using that to confuse Vin, like making a real Reen to be, or it could be the opposing force would want Elend and them out of Luthadel, or would that be Ruin who would want them out of Luthadel?
It
Oh,
wants
not
them to go
Luthadel. I'm
back to
sorry.
Luthadel. Oh, here?
I meant Fadrix. Yeah,
I
like they
think it's
wanted them.
ruined because, like, if there's the secret they're looking for down there or some element to it, then obviously it wouldn't want them to pursue it, to take over the city and find it.
Yeah, but is that secret to help fight Ruin or to
Well, that's the Lord Ruler's enemy, and he'd be the one who left it there. So
Okay,
I
yeah.
would assume so based on what we know. There's no reason I can think of to think otherwise.
Okay.
I still think the earring's going to simply be some kind of magic 50th metal we've never heard of that'll give her the super duper power to control mists or whatever, something
Yeah,
cheesy like that. Though I do like your nightmare twist. I personally don't see enough evidence, but if it does happen, I could see there being evidence that I missed that would support it. I do think we're looking at the real Reen, though, personally.
Okay. Oh, I will say one more thing about how jewelry has been a part of this, like bracelets and the terrorist people's earrings and things like that. So I really think that anything like that any details like that should not be overlooked. And yeah.
The earring is something, that's for sure. If this book ends and it was just an earring, I am going to be shocked with how often they pointed it out.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Kelsier thing really makes me sad. I don't like that.
I'm afraid I don't buy it.
Yeah. Ugh. And like, I have one more about the religion of Kelsier being made. Now the religion of Spook is being made. That is part of a bigger plan too. So like those I feel like those are someone's tools.
Well, we know something is driving Spook.
Yeah. That makes me really mad.
Well, I like your theory.
All right, and then for a question, what's the thing that Ruin is trying to have his Inquisitors search for, and that preservation had hidden from him?
Well, when I was rereading last chapter, there was something really big that was in one of the epigraphs that we kind of just didn't talk about, and it was let me look at it real quick. It is whoever is writing the epigraph saying how this whole thing is bigger in scope than anything that they had ever thought before, and then they came up with a single name, and it was Adenasium. And who or what it is, they don't know what it is. So maybe that's what they're looking for. Some kind of magic element, maybe a metal or something.
Well, I thought Adenasium was a person. I just assumed it was, or like a being. I never even thought of it being a metal.
One thing I will have to point out, because Sheta is listening to the audiobook. The audiobook did mispronounce it. It's Adenasium.
The audiobook messed it up?
Yep. I don't know if I can't remember if the first printing misspelled it there too, but I know for a fact the audiobook says, it's the actual thing is Adenasium. Like they missed the L.
Adenasium.
All right.
Not
Well, I'll give
Adenasium.
No, I'll give you the spelling.
Okay.
Adonalsium.
Okay. Well, it still has the Zeum part, which is like barium and other metal-y type feeling.
It's true.
Right.
And
I just assumed it was like a being. I that never even crossed my mind. though I do
Well-
not remember how it was worded.
So, here's how it goes. I sense shards of something from long ago, a fractured presence, something spanning the void. I've delved and searched, and have only been able to come up with a single name. Ada Nauseum. Who or
Yeah,
what
that could-
it was, I do not
Oh.
yet know.
Interesting.
I was like, spanning the void. It's freaking Cthulhu. Like,
Yeah, I figured it was a thing like that. That's exactly what I was just assuming.
yeah, like,
Like an elder, great old one type being.
yeah. It seems like it's a thing that exists in this world, like an actual item, because they're all searching for it. So, probably an item or a metal or some sort. Maybe
I've
a
also
person if
personally-
they
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, no,
if they swallowed the metal. I don't know.
I've also personally come to the conclusion that this speaker is Sazed. Have we wiped that one out, Shita?
Not
think
on
that he
my
lo-
list.
I think that he loses all
he's
faith,
still.
and he doesn't believe in religion, only to become the new god of this world. That's my current theory.
Mm.
Just
Could
because I've
be.
always thought this guy talks like Sazed, but he's not an Allomancer, so he couldn't be, but who knows what kind of bullshit will happen.
Yeah. And he's a scholar. He's probably my number one guess, but I don't know.
It doesn't fit any of the clues of what we know, but besides the talking,
Mhm.
but I can't help but think that, and that's the narrative reason. He's going to learn what religion's for and become the god for the people that need.
Mhm.
Or the alternate universe nonsense, one of those two. So what they're looking for, since I don't think that stuff is a person or is a thing, then I wouldn't say that, but that seems like a good one.
Gosh. Well, I have a little chart of the three metallic arts, and that they've said it, so I'll just say from my notes that um hemalurgy is a ruin, uh ferochemy is perseverance. No, it's balance, so it's both. And then the third one, oh no, never mind. Sorry. Third one is just regular elemency, right? Yeah. Perseverance. Yeah, that would be perseverance.
Preservation.
Yeah, preservation, yeah. And then I have another thing about the mist. Sky used to be very superstitious of it, and they're not now. I wonder if that is something passed through the ages from when the first time this happened. Like well, they probably already said that. But when this happened the first time and people were getting taken from it like that, like
Yeah. Yeah, I thought of
Yeah.
that too, yeah.
a chamber
Yeah,
of secrets was opened before.
Yeah.
All right. Now I have a theory about the 16 thing. Okay. What is 16 divided by 2 spikes? It is 8.
Divided. Did you say divided by 2 spikes?
Yep. 2 is the number of spikes you need to make a chondra or kolos, or even yeah, so you need 2 to give them a blessing. So 16 divided by 2 spikes is 8. How many metals are there in Alamancy? In It is 8. Am I wrong?
Well, didn't they discover new ones?
Yeah,
They
there's
did.
there's like 12 or something. Like, because you have 8, then you have duralumin,
But aren't those
aluminum,
mixes of
gold.
those?
Oh, you mean like pure metals? I mean, wouldn't there be as many as there are metals? Like, that's always what I assume. They just haven't discovered all the metals yet.
No, because there are metals that don't do anything. Like
Oh,
I think
anything
they've
that
talked
they
about.
know of.
Like they've done silver and because remember, a Mistborn can burn anything. So if a Mistborn eats silver, you'd be able to feel the pool of power in there, but you can't. But if they eat like silver, they don't feel anything. And
Well,
the metal, the original 8, those are both normal and alloys because the push and pulls go with that, which is why
I
you have
see.
like bronze and copper. They go together, and bronze is an alloy of copper. Duralumin goes along with aluminum, and duralumin is an alloy of aluminum.
Well, there goes that one, Sheta.
well, I don't know how it is, but I did a little chart about how there's 4 blessings. So, like, what Like, for example, like with Spook having pewter and tin and being super powerful now, like that could be the blessing of potency because now he's strong. And then with oh no, now I feel silly with my chart. Oh gosh. Well, I did it for awareness, presence,
Mercy
and
too.
stability. All right. Yeah, I just did that with the other blessings of stability, presence, and awareness. And and how Tensoon used the blessing of presence to find the spikes that he buried. That is the push and pull metals, and that's how he felt where the spikes were. So I think it's not. I think it might be something like that because those are the original. In that the uh force that is doing this is looking for like one of each and stuff to try to like to collect it all, I guess, or maybe distribute that to people so that they can either use it later or harvest it later. That's my little theory about why it's 16, even though there are more than 8 metals.
So it all sadly falls under heavy scrutiny, are you saying?
Yeah, but these might be like in a different category than those other metals. Because like atium and stuff, that's on a whole nother level, you know? These ones are like stuff you can do, like a person can do, like, see better, run better, whatever, but seeing into the future better is not a thing. So I think that's another or a different thing.
I think that you've gone insane. That's what I think, Sheta.
All right, thank you for bearing with
Wait,
me. That's
wait, so what were you saying, Sheeta? Like the mist is like giving the people powers?
Yeah, it's either distributing those powers, that's why it's 16% or however out of 100 that have fallen and or died. Like I think that that's the pattern that they're trying for one of each of those, like for whatever their purpose is. So,
Yeah, it's 16% of the people get 6, and then 1/16th of the people who get sick for longer, like 2 weeks.
yeah,
I
those are the
stand by
people
my
who
theory
are
that it's
infected.
ruin breaking things down by 16ths because that's all it can do.
Yeah, but why? You know?
Because of the ancient law of long ago, the pact between ruin and preservation from the beginning of time, something like that.
That's the deal they settled on. Like,
It was the original deal that the orator spoke and into being, and then all the
shut
concepts it
up.
had created must follow. Some kind of mythological nonsense like that.
That's too stupid.
Jeez. You'll see, Sheta. It's gonna be exactly that word for word.
I'll eat my hat if that happens. Yeah, they're. I'm scared because if they are infected with that, they could be, and then replaced into our army and like
Well, that's why you
hidden
don't trust the
traps.
Mistfallen, right, Sheta?
Yeah,
We should just finish
yeah.
the job the Mist started, right?
No, but you should definitely
Yeah,
keep an eye on them.
finish the job the Mist started. Quote Sheta Low.
No, that is sad.
And then Sheeta, did you say you had like a list for like the epigraphs or like the people or something like that? Like you're trying to mark people off?
I did, yes, I did. I have marked off Elend, Marsh,
When did
Tinsoon.
Marsh get knocked off, Sheta?
They talked about Marsh in one of the
Oh, okay.
yeah, yep. About when they talked about hemalurgy, they talked about how he's in there. Um,
I see.
yeah. I also crossed off Set because he doesn't really seem to care about this stuff.
I would be shocked if it was set.
Yeah, I don't know.
Though he is a bit poetic, they said. He's a bit of a writer.
He is a writer. Shoot, should we put him back on?
I don't think
Yeah,
he's
I'm
been
not.
explicitly taken off,
Yeah,
so
I'm
I
putting him
wouldn't.
back on because if this is like Sudoku, we cannot cross it off unless we're 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting Set back on. So far, I've only crossed off Marsh Elland and Tensoon. But yeah, Vin, Breeze, Sazed, Spook, Ham, Ariane, Kelsier, Demu, Goradel, Hoyd, Norden, and Set. That's on the list.
You put
Why is
Hoyd
Hoyd
on the list. You know, don't rule it out. We don't know what's going on with that fucking character, so.
Yeah. And
I
that was
love
my
that-
guess that he.
I love that Goradel's on there.
Yeah.
They keep bringing him up.
He's part of the gang.
Wait, I missed it. Did you say Kelsier?
Kelsier, yeah.
It could be.
Yeah. A real Kelsier. If he's brought back by perseverance, then he could be
Preservation.
preservation.
I like
Sorry.
perseverance.
Well, I'm mixing that up because the survivor, you persevere, when you survive. That's how you survive, So
Oh.
I keep saying that.
So you're just making
keep
up a
writing
whole
that.
thing of your own, huh?
I am, yeah. That's what I keep writing in my notes. That's why. Preservation. Anyone who you think might be on the list, Justin, that I missed?
Well, didn't you say pretty much the whole main cast?
Yeah, but not really. I was debating whether or not to put Dern on there.
Who's
or
Dern?
He's the guy that's like in charge that Spook's been going to like with the underground.
Yeah, I don't think you need to put Dern on the list, Sheta.
he might be bigger later.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Quellian or Yeoman, but he's not really friend. They're
No,
not.
it's not
Maybe if they
Quellian.
become.
No way.
Okay.
I think it's safe to leave relatively important characters on there and like really noteworthy side characters. I don't think they're going to be like, and it's this guy who everyone forgot what their name is.
The old guy from the beginning of Final Empire.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was him all along. Well, at least there'd be a certain poetry to that, I suppose. Not a good poem, but.
And if like you have anyone has a thing that we missed that would make a clue against Vin or Sazed or something, I would like to know that because there's so much stuff.
Unless you've read the book before, then I don't want your clue.
Yeah, I remember Nick saying some stuff like that about what he had seen and crossed off. So.
Well, we can't all be Nick. With his mathematics.
All right. Any other theories or predictions either you two want to throw out there?
Not this week.
I think I said most of them. Yeah, just that. Yeah, no,
right.
sorry. Yeah.
All right, then we'll move on to the characters and quotes of the week.
All right. My quote is Sazed and Breeze waiting for the executions to start. Sazed is excited about the new survivor and stuff like that. And I was surprised that Breeze was kind of like just pushing him off, like not really talking with him, And then Sazed goes, "What's your problem?" Basically. Bruce, Sazed admitted. "Either way, I see no reason for you to complain, Breeze. Did you not want me to become interested in religions again? That was before I realized you'd spend the entire evening, then the next morning, chattering about it," Breeze said. "Where's Quillian anyway? If I missed lunch because of his executions, I'd be rather annoyed." Executions? In his excitement, Sazed had nearly forgotten what it was they had come to see. His eagerness deflated, and he remembered why Breeze was acting so solemnly. The man spoke lightly, but the concern in his eyes indicated how disturbed he was by the thought of the citizen burning innocent people to death. I just really like that little moment. Like, first of all, I really like Breeze and Sazed hanging out, but I really like that about Breeze, that he's such a softie and he has a really big heart, actually, and he always tries to cover it up by saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss lunch for this," but he's actually quite, he doesn't like it.
I really like that part because I'm reading from Sazed's perspective. I'm like, hey, he's coming alive a bit, just like he was thinking. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
why is Breeze being such an asshole? And then I'm just like,
Yeah.
Sazed, I'm like, oh God, we're at an execution. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot. I was so
Mhm.
distracted by that. I felt exactly like Sazed there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is, like you said, interesting that Breeze, he can't just put the execution thing to the side. He actually is a lot more perturbed by things than other people are who get more used to it.
Yeah. I really like how Breeze and Ariane were really shaken by the executions. Like they really didn't like it. That was really sweet to be so like they did not like it.
I especially liked seeing Ariane's perspective on it because I feel like we haven't gotten to see much of what she thinks about things for a bit. So I liked seeing that it pissed her off,
Yeah, we saw it a bit when she was trying to get her dad to go help fight. Like
Yeah.
and all that, and she did all that stuff to help Breeze and them. So I really like her. I hope that and also like she's really young, so she feels a lot of passion about this kind of stuff. It feels like.
Yeah, especially with her, it's really easy just to see as just pompous, noble woman, likes dresses and stuff. But like just when you were saying, she gets so angry. She's like, I could have him tear him apart right now. And
Yeah.
then Breeze is like, hold on, we need to wait. You're all about wait. Like she wants to just take down Quellion now, and just kind of goes against like just the outside. We just see that, yep, pompous rich person, but she actually does care and she wants to take care of all these things.
I wanted her to rip them apart. I want to see that so bad. Like, so what if the second in command takes charge? But then they said, then everyone here will be executed. And I was like, yes, there you go.
Yeah, like I think that too with her being younger is that she hasn't had the experience or the wisdom or foresight to see those consequences and stuff like that. She wants to act really rashly.
Well, I liked it when he's like, now's not the time. We need to prepare more. And it's like, well, it feels like we're always preparing, That's the clash between those two sides. That's why a character like, Kelsey or Vin are good, because they come in and they merge the two by knowing when it's time to move, like in a crazy way, and when it's time to wait for a bit.
When to act. Yeah.
Like when to act recklessly too, yeah. All right. My quote is from the very beginning when Norden is talking about how organized the 16s are and the miss stuff, or the percentages. And Set's like, what are you talking about? He says, well, my lord, imagine that you hear a tapping sound somewhere outside your tent. If it repeats occasionally with no set pattern, then it might be the wind blowing a loose flap against a pole. However, if it repeats with exact regularity, you know that it must be a person striking something. You'd be able to make the distinction immediately because you've learned that nature can't be repetitive in a case like that, or can be repetitive in a case like that, but not exact. These numbers are the same, my lord. They're too organized, too repetitive to be natural. They had to have been crafted by somebody. I thought that was a really good way to explain what they were saying about how it's unnatural by using the repetitive tapping. Everyone can understand that, because we all intrinsically know the difference, because we're pretty much evolutionarily grown to know if somebody's out there trying to kill us,
Yeah.
So it's funny to see them start to pick up on this in the same way, even though it's a bigger, stranger version.
All right. My quote is from the execution. A figure in dark clothing leaped through the shattering mess of boards and smoke, landing on the rooftop. His long cloak appeared to be on fire in places, and he carried a small bundle in his arms, a child. The figure rushed along top of the burning rooftop, then leaped off the front of the building, trailing smoke as he fell to the ground. He landed with the grace of a man burning pewter, not stumbling despite the two-story fall, his burning cloak billowing out around him. People backed away, surprised, and Quellion spun in shock. The man's hood fell to his shoulders as he stood upright. Only then did Sazed recognize him. Spook stood tall, seeming in the sunlight to be older than he really was, or perhaps Sazed had never seen him as anything but a child until that moment. Either way, the young man regarded Quellion proudly, eyes wrapped with a blindfold, his body smoking as he held the coughing child in his arms. He didn't seem the least bit intimidated by the troop of 20 soldiers that surrounded him. The crowd exploded with motion, people crying out in the name of the survivor, rushing to the guards. For a moment, Sazed feared that Spook wouldn't take the opportunity to run. Despite the strange bandage on Spook's eyes, Sazed could tell the boy was staring straight at Quellion, as if in challenge. I just thought that was a badass scene.
Bad fucking ass for sure, man.
Yep, that's the part I was talking about.
Yeah, the fire thing.
Next, characters.
You're all gonna hit me But my character is the citizen, even though he barely had a line. Just because I'm so happy that he's wearing blue after having the red and then the slightly different red, and seeing just how quickly he's like pushing things to the end of Animal Farm. I'm just really enjoying that.
Sheta?
Also the citizen?
No. My favorite would be Side. Probably Spook again for being a badass and not only saving the girl, but like that whole situation where it was really tense inside the building. And also like not listening to Kelsier. I always do air quotes when I say that. Kelsier. Yeah, I really liked him. Kind of, yeah, not just obeying it and being like, I'm not gonna just kill everybody, or and trying to rise up to this new expectation of him. And that part that Joe's quote was just really cool. I would love to see that in like live action.
All right, and then I will go with Elend. His, scenes with Yeoman, just getting into the talking the philosophy, and just finding ways to stall and annoy him and all that, and getting back into it, feeling like the old Elend again. I thought was pretty cool. And then he's just like, all right, well, shit's in the fan. Might as well try to see if he's a Alamancer. And tries to kill. And here's the thing. What if Yeoman wasn't an Alamancer? You would have had Elend talking all this stuff, and then he just stabs and kills him in front of everyone.
Well, he was choking him, and then he let him go. That's when he attacked him, so I don't think he would have killed him. Because he'd reasoned that he wasn't an Alamancer. And then he was shocked when he sliced him. Or pulled out the knives and sliced him. So I think he accounted for that.
I thought you just saved that scene for me because I thought Ellen was so like random for doing that. So, but now
That's exactly how it was described, I thought.
Yeah, but
Well,
I
it
was
seems
like,
like as good a time. Can check that off the list.
I guess I didn't think that was like something that they needed to check, but no, it makes sense.
All right. So now I'm going to go over some comments and an email that we've gotten.
Ooh.
So starting off with comments from on last week's episode. First one is from Alcade946. Regarding why nobody found out about the Colossus before.
Oh, yes, thank you.
In Well of Ascension, chapter 57, Sazed comes back to his study from a meeting with the generals to see a pile of strange metal nails taken from the Colossus, but he is too depressed and worried about his Hero of Ages research to look into it at the time.
There you go. Okay.
Oh
I
my
imagine that people
God.
did know about it after the battle, but got distracted by everything else going on.
That's
Freaking
all I needed to know.
Sazed. I
Well,
can't believe
it's not Sazed. It's that they knew. All I needed was that they knew there were metal spikes in them. That's all I wanted to hear, was one line that confirmed that. So thank you, dear viewer. That was all I needed.
Wow. I can't believe that.
Now I can just assume that, they just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Like,
which is what I pretty much figured. I just needed it said.
Yeah, the pile of spikes, that's pretty crazy. What did they do
that's
with
cool.
that?
I can't believe I forgot it. I didn't remember that. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
I guess I was too depressed to remember too.
A lot of stuff was happening. Makes sense.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy. I can't believe that. Yes,
Well,
but what happened to that pile, though?
What happened to it?
Yeah, if it's
well,
a pile
like I said,
of...
any conversation about this, it probably got dealt with and thought about off screen, but it wasn't something Vin ever really thought about or heard about because she's not really into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but if the right person came across it, they could make a little army,
Oh, you're wondering conspiracy theories about like somebody coming in and grab them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like how many did they kill? Because those spikes
lot.
are pretty valuable, Every spike is a person that was killed. So, I mean, maybe that's what Marsh is after.
The other thing, too, I would think of is that I don't know how many people really know about hemalurgy because it's not that widespread.
Yeah, seems like it's
even
a little...
I was never wondering about why people didn't figure it out. I was always wondering why nobody talked about or thought about why the fuck do they have spikes in them, Because people have definitely wondered about what the spikes do, because I'm sure everyone wonders with the Inquisitors, why the fuck do they have spikes in them?
Yeah, it's not like
And
they're hiding
assumed,
it. Yeah.
assumed there was something. So I also have to assume that, Elend or somebody in the town thought, maybe the Koloss are similar, but we don't know how the heck that works, so it doesn't really matter,
Mhm.
I'm just glad to have that. I'm very, very glad.
Yes, thank you.
I figured it had to be, because we know that I don't get the vibe that he's making this shit up as he goes along, especially with things like the Inquisitors and Koloss. So I feel like you'd throw a line about that somewhere earlier in the books.
All right. Next one. So this one's going to be from Blue Shark 85. Follow up on base 16. Okay, so looking into this, there's a surprising amount of lore surrounding this topic, so buckle up. First off, Scadrians use what is called the Steel Alphabet, according to Isaac Stewart, who draws the maps and designed the alphabet. The Steel Alphabet can be seen on the Scadrial maps, chapter titles, and in the Ars Arcanum. They're circular symbols with spiky bits. These symbols are used to refer to specific metals, letters, numbers, compass directions, and other situations. The user, Valkenfire, on the forums took it upon themselves to decipher the language by translating page 262 of the Mistborn adventure game, which contains multiple paragraphs of text written in the Steel Alphabet. Nowadays, you can get official custom engraved rings with Steel Alphabet, and they have a chart there. 17 of the symbols are also used to refer to the digits 0 to 16. In the forum thread, users noticed that the first 16 title symbols in this one book corresponded with the first 16 symbols in the Ars Arcanum, but chapter 17 has two symbols, the one for 16 and the one for 1. Chapter 18 is 16 and 2, and so on. This led the community to believe they use a base 16 number system. Things get weird after 32, as seen on this other stuff, because the positioning structure is double number pairs used to represent the order of magnitude and the number in that position respectively, according to the wiki, whatever that means. With a quick search of WOBs, there are a bunch that came after these discoveries that more or less confirm them and go even deeper into little specific parts. Short answer to your question, these chapter titles, symbols are numbers, and those numbers are in base 16. Also, good luck with reading the WOBs, Justin. There are approximately 16,000 of them, going back as far as 2002. LOL.
Oh, dear Lord. Is there a search function on them at least? Jeez.
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
All right. Next one's Adelg 8. What I don't understand is this. I've been thinking of Ruin as the bad one, the one trapped in the Well of Ascension. The Mist, on the other hand, was trying to stop that from happening by stabbing L. So I'm thinking the Mist is of preservation, but the Mist is the one that's killing them now? I'm thinking there's something here, especially now with that bit of Ellen thinking of maybe more devoted followers of Kel were the ones that got sick. But he doesn't get to that question. I think that's Brennan telling us, the readers, to wonder about this.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm starting to wonder who the real villain is here, because preservation can be just as bad as ruin, because you can have too much of something. I think one of the best examples of that was in Marvel when they had the Cancerverse, where they go to the alternate universe where nothing can ever die. And so all life is fused together into one giant nightmare form that spans the entire universe. Like, ending things can be very good for continuation. So I'm very curious to see what, like I always say, what the lesson and idea is going to be at the end.
Yeah. That's worrying.
All right. And the next comment from Reader Warrior. In the Muppet race, only one Muppet was on Sesame Street and a part of the Muppet Show group, and that is Kermit the Frog. Rolf was retired for a time because Jim Henson voiced him himself, I believe. Oh. If not Kelsier, why Kelsier shaped?
Kelsier shaped?
I think talking about like the, Kelsier that Spook saw and stuff.
Oh.
Well, like why if it's not Kelsier?
Yep. If not Kelsier,
Sheta's pretty hardcore
on
the guy wearing a Kelsier soul skin of some kind. Is that it, Sheta?
Yeah, well,
or how you describe it?
Just speaking through his voice and his memories and stuff, whatever would manipulate. Yeah, soul skin is good. Yeah, whatever would manipulate.
Soul skin is a fucking horrifying idea. If that's not taken, I want to write a book with that in it.
Yeah.
depending on the book, Ada Nulcia may be misspelled.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Just like I said earlier.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy. I mean, that's but is it on purpose? Is it the thing changing?
Oh, no, Ruin changed it. Is that what you're saying, Sheta?
Yeah.
But wouldn't that
No.
mean that the revised edition would be the changed one?
Oh
Wouldn't that
my
be
god, you
winning
have
for
to get an
readers?
original copy.
Yeah.
Point of
In fact,
clarification.
the whole book's been rewritten, Sheta. The whole book's been rewritten. Like, if you don't have the original printing, then you're not reading the true story of what happened.
That's so frustrating.
No, you need to get a version of the book that's scraped onto like metal slabs.
Yep, that's the only one you can ever
You can only trust that. Yep.
What if somebody commissions that from Brandon Sanderson and they find out it's actually really, really different because of that reason?
Oh my gosh.
Point of clarification, but Ruin, the bad one, cannot change memories. That's how Kwan and Sazed figured out stuff was being tampered with.
Mm.
Ruin cannot change memories. Interesting.
No, it can change.
That would be too damn powerful.
Yeah.
That would be unbeatable. You could not defeat that no matter what.
Yeah, it can change writing, and it can tamper with metal minds, because I believe what it is, because metal minds, they're like leaving the metal and going into your mind. I think that's where it gets changed, but what's actually you remember, that cannot be changed. So if you don't rely on your metal minds too much, that's how Sazed and Kwan were able to figure things out.
Man, so easy to get gaslit.
Yeah.
And then his last line, I'm just going to leave that.
Why?
Sounds good.
Spoiler?
Because it's cryptic and mysterious in a way that we could put together too easily.
I see.
Or it's incredibly insulting to one of us. One of the two.
Yeah, thanks for sparing my feelings.
By the way, as I comment every week, get Justin off the fucking podcast. And Joe's just politely been not reading that section.
All right. And then an email that we received. Love the podcast. It's the only podcast that I've listened to since November. I'm taking a break from all the rest that I've been following. I'm about a month behind in my listening, but this is in reference to the last episode before the new year. Yes, Sheta, partying like it was 1999 back in 1999 was awesome.
Wait, what?
I remember you saying that vaguely.
Wait, what did I say?
I assume something along the lines of, man, I wonder what it was like to actually party in 1999.
By the way, Joe, the podcast is too long. Podcasts shouldn't be as long as feature films. I think you even had one that was as long as the Lord of the Rings movie. I'll keep telling you this until you finally listen to me.
Was that like the Kelsier death one or something?
I think that would have been the wrap-up for Welvesing. And
wrap-ups are going to be long.
Yeah. From Joe's big sister.
Aww.
Yeah, she's been telling me that the episodes are too long, and I keep telling her, for the genre of podcast that we have, it's pretty average.
Aww.
We could get shorter episodes, but then we would only be doing like 1 or 2 chapters a week, and I don't want to do that.
Aww. Well, I love your sister. I'm really glad that she's listening.
All right, so then looking forward to chapters we're doing next week. So next week we'll be starting part 4, and we'll be reading chapters 45 through 51.
That's too many chapters. I won't do it.
44.
Oh, too bad.
41.
And now, plugs. I will do all the plugs this week.
Okay, good.
What do you mean? I already did my plug at the beginning of the podcast. Do you think you can beat that one?
Well, you threw out shit you don't have. Like, you don't have a Facebook or a
TikTok or a Facebook. Yeah, but you can still try to find me. Maybe somebody's copying me there.
All right. So, if you want to look at comics and stuff like that, check out Profanity Beaver on most places, such as, Kia, Most Ancient Letter, formerly known as Twitter, or, on DeviantArt or Instagram. Or if you also want to get a little bit more and also donate money, then you can go onto Patreon and do that. For Sheta's art and stuff, check her out on Sheta_low. That's only L-O, no W. For Sheta's cosplay and other stuff like that, crafts, check out Mermaid Machete. No underscore in between, one word. Those are both Instagram. And then for just the Cosmic Chronicle stuff, give us a review, give us likes, all that stuff. Leave us comments if you want. Leave us reviews. Yeah. If you want to follow us, we're on both Blue Sky and former Twitter. Cosmere Cron on Twitter. Cosmere Chronicles on Blue Sky. If you want to send us an email, then cosmerechronicles@gmail.com.
I give it an 8 for mine because I would never call it key a most ancient letter.
Yeah,
otherwise pretty solid.
Yeah, but
I loved it.
I made that the brand, and as much as I regret it, because now it's very long, it's something that I just can't stop because of my 1 week joke that I made, and now I'm stuck with it.
Oh, that was great. You should do it every week.
No.
Yes, do it.
All right.
Don't want to.
So that's everything. Like I said, 45 through 51 next week. So everyone go out there, read it, come back, listen to us, and enjoy your time. Have fun. If you like sports, enjoy the Super Bowl next week. Even if you don't like either team, just enjoy hanging out with people and eating food. And the halftime show of a guy who I only know the name of and do not know any of the music.
Oh, who's doing it?
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we'll do that, everyone, and come back next week. Same Cosmere time, same Cosmere channel.
That I approve of. Toodaloo,
Yeah, it should be.
skidoo.
Bye-bye.